Oh, Minecraft Dungeons. What a great game you could have been. And not saying that Minecraft Dungeons is a bad game. It's not. I thoroughly enjoy Minecraft Dungeons, and I was actually just playing it before I recorded this video. It was actually what sparked the idea for me to record this video. Um, but man, there's some quality of life issues here that really need to be addressed that prevent this game from being, marvelous, as I would say. Um, as in the background, you just see me and Jay running through and just doing some rune hunting from last night's live stream. Um, we came across some of the big issues, and you're seeing it on screen right now. Um, Minecraft Dungeons difficulty spike is not only paired with the fact that enemies hit harder, have more health, and are overall just beefier um, than in prior difficulties, and you could scale up difficulties in a tier, and then there's also a completely different framework for that. You have your adventure, you have your classic, and then you have apocalypse. Um, and then you have your difficulty tiers 1 through 6 for each and every single level. Um, with these difficulty spikes come, like I said, a lot more beefy enemies. But they do something that's like really bad cardinal sin. I don't think that there's any other way that they could have gone about it. Um, but in terms of like early game and even like your first or second run of a playthrough, without having really caught up to gear, caught up to speed gear, it might be a little bit tougher. Endgame, I can see this not being a non-issue whatsoever. Once you have actually like put in 100 hours and have gotten all your uniques and you're sitting there rocking like nice and steady setup gears. But when your first time through adventure mode, your first time through apocalypse mode, um, your gear still have a little bit to be desired. And what they do is they just essentially mob you out, and they just throw hordes and hordes and hordes of mobs, and that's their difficulty spike. So not only are you getting more powerful mobs, beefier mobs in terms of HP, but you're also getting more enchanted. You're also getting way more mobs in general. You first run through, you might see maybe like 5 or 6 mobs in a spot, and then you go through and you see 40 mobs in that spot. And I can't think of another game that did this. I just can't. Can't really put my finger on a game that did this, and I just absolutely hated it. Um, what I can't think of any other atrocity of a game. Hmm. Right. That one that led to Dark Souls. That how did I get into Dark Souls if that game was so terrible? God, Demon Souls was awful. And that's what they did. They packed mobs. They did a lot of mob packing, just to like add difficulty to it. And that's not. You can't see my air quotes when I'm doing this, but I'm doing air quotes every time I say add difficulty. You're not making it harder. You're just swarming, and you're making it more tedious than anything. And tedious is not always difficult. Tedious is more of like, man, I could definitely do this, but do I really want to? Um, and that's where we're at. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. Like I said, it could be like something that's only really early on. It's not necessarily something that's late game issue. Because the better gear you get, the more you'll be able to handle situations. The more armor you get, the more defended you're going to be for this, and the more everything starts to add up. And you start grinding for certain gears and certain enchantments. Everything kind of balances itself out. But it shouldn't take that long to do that. Um, and there needs to be that like risk versus reward factor. If I'm able to come into soggy swamps or creeper woods and put it on a higher difficulty and survive for as long as I can, all there just trying to run for treasure. The treasure I get should be able to help me progress that level even further. Um, Not to mention that there is a very, very distinct balancing issue in this game. You'll see it even in my playing style now. I have never been an archer in any game whatsoever. I'm a good shot in shooting games, but in terms of like using a bow and arrow, I typically suck at it. It's amazing that I was able to beat Horizon Zero Dawn with how much it relied on using the bow. which is a magnificent game and it doesn't have any of these issues that I'm talking about now. But it's amazing how much I rely on the bow in this, and you can see it on screen right now. Most of the time, I'm using the bow. I'm using the Harp's crossbow. Essentially, what the Harp's crossbow is it shoots. It's a scatter. It's a unique level scatter crossbow that instead of shooting 3, it shoots 5, and then I also have bonus shot on there, so I could realistically shoot 10 almost always. As you can see when I'm shooting, I almost always shoot 10 multi-shot. Sorry, and it's still like base level. I'm sure you could get even more. I've seen videos where people are saying 25. If you look at that, I just shot my rockets off, and I shot 10 rockets. I felt really, really, really bad because the night before me and Jay teamed up last time, I had beaten Heart of Ender, and I was talking to Jay. I was like, "Oh man, the final boss of the game was actually really cool. It was kind of creepy. It was definitely difficult. I struggled on it a little bit, but I managed to get it beaten. I'm super proud." I was like, "You need to check it out. It's great." And then I played a little bit after that, and I happened to get this firework rocket, and this firework rocket was like twice as strong as the old one. And I went and we beat it together, and I think I killed it in a matter of 6 seconds. And I felt really terrible because like I hyped this boss up, and then like the difficulty spike wasn't exactly caught up, and I kind of like ruined that. And that's a balancing issue, big time balancing issue. Um, I feel like maybe adventure should have its own. I feel like each tier difficulty should have their own like min max in terms of like gear proficiency. Maybe not a max, but definitely like no, definitely maybe not a min, but definitely a max. Like I believe it's classic is the first difficulty tier. I always forget what it's called. But like um, you shouldn't be able to go to the Heart of Ender and have on classic and have a firework rocket that has 212 base damage and you shoot it 10 times. You're just gonna nuke everything, and you can see that here. And that's one of the issues I have with the bow is just so overpowered that I often feel, as you can see, I had a little bit of a glitch here. I couldn't pick up the rune. I did get it, but it's okay. Um, I do feel that I do have the moon daggers on, and I seldom use it. One, they just don't do enough damage. They don't do enough crowd control. And I know the moon daggers later on are one of the highest DPS weapons in the game, um, with their soul critting. Um, but the ones I have right now, I think are base like 25, and they just don't do enough for me in terms of crowd control. Um, so I often resort to my bow, and I feel like my reliance on my bow is I will always go to it no matter what. I see a few enemies running at me. I'm using a bow. I'm slapping on the firework rockets, shooting 10 rockets, and I'm just nuking everything. Um, and I feel like that reliance and that dependence um, kind of ruins the game. It ruins the feel of melee weapons because it's like, oh man, why do I want to use a melee weapon when I can just main this bow and only shoot this bow and not have to worry about anything else? As you see, I ran away there. I gathered a bunch of enemies and I just shot a firework rocket. Um, so I mean that's been a very big part of the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, like I do love Minecraft Dungeons. I think it's a great time. I think it's a great way to spend a day. But as you can see, Jay's having some problems here, just because he's getting overwhelmed by the mob swamping, and he goes down a few times. I do think it's a 7 out of 10 game. Um, Honestly, I could go even 6.5 out of 10, which isn't bad. I know there's gonna be a bunch of people jumping at me, but 65 out of 100 is still good. You're still two thirds of people will approve that you're a good game. Um, and I do generally like it. I feel like the stronger I get in the game, the more I'm going to like it. So the more I play it, the more I'm going to like it. So there is potential for it to get higher. But look at this, like I'm just getting mobbed by creeper after creeper here, and it's like there's just a little bit too much swamping. Like I said, later on in the game, once you have the weapons and all the stuff to be able to deal with this, it's going to be a non-factor. You're just going to walk through, and then you're just going to be like, oh, cool. I'm just killing everything now. Everything's kind of balanced. But there should be that immediate sense of balance as well. Especially if you beat the game and as the higher difficulty tiers are available to you, you should be able to do those higher difficulties right off the bat. And not on like the lowest base difficulty, because at that point you're kind of just playing RNG, and it's like, oh man, Creeper Woods, it's the first stage in the new difficulty, and it's base like 29, and I'm only at a 23. So now I could either farm on classic and wait to do this next round, or and not be able to get the runes, or I can push my luck and hope that I get something strong enough to balance myself out for this difficulty, and that's never really a good feel. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to see what you guys think. I do love Minecraft Dungeons, so don't get me wrong. I think it's a great game, but I definitely think it's a 6.5 or a 7 game right now. Anyway, I'll come back to this in a couple weeks maybe, and we'll see how I feel about it then. But we definitely do have fun playing it. Those giant firework rockets is just hilarious. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel. And remember, guys, never play Demon Souls. Play Dark Souls. Play Dark Souls 2. Play Dark Souls 3. But never play Demon Souls. This game is trash. Bye, guys.